Hi there. Welcome to Bible Slash Chat. Gus, hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you?
Good. Doing really well.
Good. Good first beginning of the year.
I think so. How
Yeah.
about you? Would just say it was good?
Yeah, I had a great beginning of the year. Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
You come off the holidays. I ate too much during the holidays. I'm not
Did
gonna
you
lie.
really?
Oh yeah, it was not good actually. It was
Why?
very not good. Lack of self control. And there's just so much. To be totally honest with you, I have a sweet tooth. So I walk around the house and I'm like, oh, cookies, don't mind if I do. Oh, See's candy, don't mind if I do. I should probably have two. And I
Yeah.
just keep doing that. It gets me into trouble.
Yes.
So
Well, speaking of food,
I'm eating less.
you are eating it less.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
are you fasting?
No.
Oh, okay. So we had a question
Yeah.
about fasting.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, okay, uh, maybe let's do like parts. But the first
Yeah.
thing is, what is fasting?
Okay.
The second thing is, okay, does the Bible command us to fast?
Yeah.
um, it seems like Jesus is saying when you fast.
Yeah.
So he's assuming that we're going to be fasting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then the third question is, it doesn't seem like we're doing any church-wide fasting because we get together to eat a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. We have parties. Yeah. The other
Yeah.
way around. Yeah. Yeah.
And food is the center of
Yeah.
our life. It seems right?
Totally. Yeah.
So what gives?
Yeah. Totally. Okay. So there's a bunch of questions there. So in the Old Testament, they were commanded to fast.
Okay.
They were really only commanded to fast once a day. Once a year, I mean. I'm sorry, once a day at night. Once a year, they were commanded to fast. That was the Day of Atonement. They're supposed to. It's a solemn assembly, and they were fasting basically before God
Yeah.
as a sign of essentially repentance and a focus on God before Him and the reality of their sin and the reality of His grace and choosing them as a nation. So you have this in the Old Testament. Now, obviously, the Pharisees. Took that idea of fasting and they ran with it because that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're really good at. So they make not the teachings of God, but the teachings of man, and they created all these man-made fasts.
Yeah.
They fast twice a week. We find out from the Pharisee who
Yeah.
is sort of insulting the tax collector. He says,
Yeah.
"I fast twice a week,"
Yeah.
So they're fasting a lot to do this. Now, obviously, what was the purpose of that for them? Well, it was really like external righteousness.
Yeah, to
Which
show
is-
their piety.
To show their piety, which is
Yeah.
why Jesus says when you fast, don't go around, in torn clothes
Yeah.
and make a point like, well, I'm fasting.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying in the Sermon on the
Yeah.
Mount. What he's saying is, when you fast, don't look like you're fasting because you're
Yeah.
actually doing it on behalf of God.
Yeah.
So he in that case is speaking more as a rebuke to the Pharisees in that day, not so much like when you fast,
Yeah.
yes, you should do it this way.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's interesting because the New Testament never tells us to fast. There's no command to fast. There's nothing that says, oh, you have to fast, anything like that. Which is why, as a church, we don't really do like church-wide fastings.
Yeah.
Now, would we ever do one? Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if the president were killed or if there was some major conflict that required, where we felt like, hey, this is an opportunity for the church to gather around this idea and like really pray and fast. But there's no command for it. And so to compel people to do something is that's not in the Bible is dangerous. So we just avoid that. However, all that said, we don't have to do those things. It is interesting that Jesus says in Matthew 9:14, he says this, the disciples of John came to him and asking, why do we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? So they come to Jesus and they're like, hey, Pharisees do this, we're fasting, everyone's fasting, but your disciples don't fast. And Jesus says an interesting thing. He says to them, can the attendants of the bridegroom mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? In other words, there's something about fasting that's related to mourning.
Yeah.
But he says the bridegroom's with them. They're not gonna fast right now. He says, but the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast. Now, what's he saying by that? He's not saying you have to fast. He's not commanding it. He's just saying the reality of the distance between the disciples and Jesus would drive them from time to time to fast for him. Which is actually informing for us what fasting is. Yeah. It's a desire to be close to God. It's not like seeking answer to prayer necessarily. It's not seeking God's like some specific act to take place. You can't. I mean, you can, but that's not the way what it's meant to be. Really, all it is a desire to be close to Jesus in your heart. And food is effectively works like a reminder because you're hungry and then you think, well, I'm hungry, I'll go grab actually I'm fasting today, I should wait and pray and just be close to Christ, which is what fasting is designed to do. And that's really the only text that would give us any kind of indication.
Yeah.
Now, that's repeated in all three synoptic gospels. But that's the only place where we get a specific thing that tells us we should.
Yeah.
Now, we actually get people fasting in the New Testament. In Acts 13, Paul and the leadership at the church in Antioch fast and pray
before
to know God's will before they're sent out.
Yeah.
You know. Now, is that so that they're confidently aware of something? I don't think they're doing something like demanding God answer them. They're just, as a practice, fasting, praying for God's direction, and focusing on God and being close to Him. So I think they're doing that, and God, in that time, as they're fasting and being close to Christ, He leads the church to send out Paul and Barnabas. So
that's really interesting. Yeah. How that I had it's just as a follow-up question. Would you ever recommend anyone to fast?
Sure.
Like if someone says to you, like what would have to be said for you to say, have you thought about fasting about this?
Well, I might not counsel them to do that. If they say, I just feel so distant from God, I'm reading my Bible, nothing's working, I just, all these things, I would say, well, God is not distant from you, but your issue is that you're not focusing maybe on Him the way that you could. So maybe fast for a period of time, maybe for a day, and just spend that day just focusing on Christ. When you want food, spend that day focusing on Christ. And just reminding yourself of truths about Him. But I would, you can also encourage people to fast from things that seem to be maybe addicting for them. Like, hey, take some time away from internet
screens.
or phones or coffee or whatever it is that is
not coffee.
Well, touch the Holy Grail there. We would take some time away, and when you take some time away, it's an opportunity for you to remind yourself about how important God is and sort of detach yourself from that thing that might be getting in the way of your relationship with Christ. But that'd be the only time I would just be real cautious to say, like, you must do this. It is a way to draw near to Christ and say, Lord, I want to spend more time with you, and I'm going to set this thing aside, whether it's food or any of those things, for the sake of closeness with you. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's super helpful.
I hope that's helpful for you as well on fasting, and we would encourage you to do it if your heart is longing to be closer to God and a desire to do that. With this and with everything else, we want to be very careful to avoid legalism. We can't say that this is a mandatory thing, or that you have to do it, or that God always responds in the way that you want Him to. That's a dangerous thing. But by the same token, we do know that the main thing is to focus our hearts and minds on Christ. So we hope this is helpful for you, and that you know the love of God for you simply by faith in the New Testament and His promises. So if you have questions on this or any other topic, you can always email us at info@faithbibleoc.org. Thanks so much, and thanks, guys.